Hi, this is Jaden, Ayla, Amanda, Sergio, and Connor. We are here to discuss the interviews we conducted on problem-posing education versus the banking method of education. The term banking method of education was first used by Paulo Freire in his book Pedagogy of the Oppressed. The banking method of education explains that students are containers into which educators must put knowledge. Freire argued that this method of education enforces a lack of critical thinking. Education is seen as a process of depositing knowledge into passive students. Freire says the scope of action allowed to the students extends only as far as receiving, filing, and storing the deposits. The problem-posing method of education is the alternative to the banking method of education, also presented by Paulo Freire. Problem-posing education refers to a method of teaching that emphasizes critical thinking for the purpose of liberation. The focus of this style of education involves taking information that is learned in the classroom and applying it to reality. In Pedagogy of the Oppressed, Freire states that problem-posing education involves a constant unveiling of reality.
After explaining each method of education to the teachers, we asked for their opinions and preferences of the two concepts. We found that 3 out of 5 teachers preferred only the problem-posing style of education. 2 out of 5 teachers mentioned that they preferred problem-posing but saw benefits in the banking method. Most of the benefits expressed related to the time efficiency and memorization of facts. For example, Mrs. Jensen, a teacher of 42 years, said, "There is a need for banking method because facts do need to be memorized, but not everything does." A few significant quotes we collected from teachers emphasize the pros and cons of each method. Mrs. Ennis, a teacher of 12 years, states, "I am definitely a supporter of the problem-posing method. I think students retain more information and are able to apply it to aspects of the real world. The banking method is completely ineffective in the fact that it focuses on information that should be memorized strictly for tests." Aidan Ruden-Bell, an instructor here at the university, states, "The banking method is a lot of testing and forgetting. There is no building on to bigger things."
From interviewing students, we did see the same result where all students preferred the problem-posing method and saw more benefits in it. In terms of benefits for the problem-posing style of learning, we did see that students emphasize constant engagement, real-world application, and retaining information as benefits for this style of learning. A few significant quotes we pulled from our interviews with students emphasize why they prefer the problem-posing method. For example, Abigail Mills, a freshman at Boise State, stated, "I prefer the problem-posing style of education. If I were a teacher, I would give the class clear, concise instructions presented in more than one way, depending on the students." Another example would be Brianne Torres, a freshman at Boise State, where she stated, "I like the problem-posing method because I like to be engaged in what I am learning, compared to the banking method, where students are expected to sit and listen and retain information for memorization."
Freire's banking method can relate to Whitehead's idea about inner ideas. Freire mentions the banking method turns students into merely containers of random narrated content, which in a sense makes them containers of inner ideas. Secondly, Freire's problem-posing method can relate to Whitehead's romance stage. With the problem-posing method, the students should be engaged in the class and express their own opinions. People in the romance stage should do the same to determine whether or not they want to carry what they learned into the precision stage and eventually into the generalization stage.
When reflecting upon our thesis, the banking method is fast and time efficient, but the problem-posing method is more effective for retaining information and skills, we have come to the conclusion that students and teachers both agree more with the problem-posing style of education. We have decided this based upon our data. The data we collected from our interviews show that of the 5 teachers and 5 students, all 10 of them would prefer to see the problem-posing style of education more throughout classrooms.